if you really have a goal, it's going to be important for you to constantly be looking at that goal because it gives you something to drive towards. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Salvador. I hope you're having an amazing day. And today what we're going to be talking about is how to achieve your dream physique. So this is a topic that a lot of people really don't know how to go about in the, I don't want to say proper way, because there really is no proper way, but in a more structured way that's going to be more likely for you to get your dream physique. And a lot of people, I guess, don't really think about how they go about it. They just try and get their muscles really big in order to get their dream physique, when there's a lot more that goes into it if you really want to attain a specific dream physique and shape. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. Definitely be sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe for more. Share this with somebody that might be thinking and wondering how to do the same thing, if this is helpful for you. But yeah, let's get right into it. So first things first, you're going to want to assess your genetics. So the first thing you want to really think about here before we get started is that if you haven't been lifting for about 6 months or more at least, and really given it dedicated effort to growing all your muscle groups, it's going to be difficult to see first and foremost your muscular growing capabilities in all the different areas. Everybody has different areas that grow faster than others. Some people grow specifically in their upper body more. Some people grow specifically in their lower body more. Some people grow faster in their biceps and triceps. Some people grow faster in their shoulders. There's all these different things you have to take into account, but if you haven't given yourself enough time to actually be in the gym to grow those muscles, it's going to be impossible for you to really figure out what muscle groups you are naturally more gifted in growing them, as in speed and just ability, how much you can grow them. So you want to keep that in mind, that if you haven't been lifting for that long, you can still pay attention to the rest of this video, but it's going to be a little bit difficult for you to gauge 100% what's going to be most realistic for you or not. Because if my dream physique, let's just make up a natural, who's a freaking Tom Platz, he has insane quads. If I have a really poor, quad genetics, and it's really difficult for me to grow them for some reason, that knowing that will be helpful, because I'm not going to shoot for a physique that is just going to be really difficult to attain for me, and it's going to be less likely to make me feel a little bit, I don't want to just say upset, but discouraged at the fact that I can't reach something. You want to set good expectations for yourself so that you're not, shooting for the stars and not even making it 50 feet in the sky, I guess. So, yeah, you want to assess your genetics, but the first thing, like I said, muscle composition. You won't really know what you're able to grow faster than others if you haven't been in the gym long enough. So I suggest that you just try your best to stick to a program, grow all your different muscle groups for at least 6 months before you're really able to see. And also keep in mind that the higher body fat percentage you are, unless you really are able to scope out and tell what people are muscular even at a higher body fat percentage, it's going to be difficult for you to tell what your muscle groups look like that are growing faster than others, what your insertions look like, and all that stuff. But that's just some stuff to keep in mind. But when it comes to your genetics, the main thing you really want to be paying attention to, other than that, is going to be your bone structure. So this isn't something you need to go super deep into. But for example, if I wanted to set my ideal body type to like Chris Bumstead or like Arnold Schwarzenegger, that's going to be a little bit just unrealistic, because of the fact that they're like 6'2", 6'4", and I am 5'9". So you want to pick somebody that's probably in the area around your height, because it's going to be more likely that you're going to be able to attain a physique like that. And the reason is the shorter that you are, the wider you're naturally going to look as you get big. So if you are really tall, the wider you look, you're going to look big. You're probably going to look even like bigger than somebody who's shorter, but you're not going to look quite as wide, if that makes sense. So finding somebody that has a similar, like at least height, first of all, is going to be important. And not only that, but there's bone structure that comes into play, which is like the height of your torso, the height of your legs. If you have really long legs, it may make your calves look smaller. It may even make your quads look smaller. Versus someone with really short legs, it's going to be the same amount of muscle density compressed into a shorter area, so it's going to make you look wider. So that's just something to take into account, is what your bone structure is like. If you have really wide clavicles, you're going to have like really huge traps usually and stuff like that, because a trap has a further ability to attach longer and longer. It's going to make you look really big in your upper. I don't really have super wide clavicles. As you can see, my traps aren't even that big, but you can tell that my traps are like, if my clavicles are even shorter to like right here, then it's just going to go from here to here, rather than here, like all the way up to here. If you've seen someone like The Rock, that man has freaking massive clavicles. So that gives you the ability to have like really big traps and stuff. But I say all this to say you need to take your genetics into account when trying to figure out even what your dream physique is really like, so that you set realistic expectations for yourself. And the reason for this is you want to have an ideal or dream physique because you have something to shoot for. You having goals is going to give you the ability to be able to have direction and just know that you're serving a purpose. You're shooting towards a goal. That gives you the ability to have more motivation in the gym and things to specifically work for, rather than you just going in there aimlessly, not really caring at what you're doing, just being like, okay, I'm doing arms, I'm doing legs, I'm doing back, you know. You having direction is going to make it much more likely that you actually reach your destination. So genetics is the first thing that you really want to be paying attention to so that you can reach your ideal physique. So number 2 that I have for y'all is going to be find a bodybuilder or fitness person that has your dream or ideal physique and identify their strong points. So that one kind of ties in with number 1. You want to find someone with a similar bone structure, or just like at least height and bone structure. Ideally, if you don't really know much about that, that's fine. You don't really need to think about that, but at least finding someone the same height is going to maximize your ability to probably be at least the same, around the same ideal body shape. So somebody who is my bodybuilding goal is Mike Mentzer. Freaking awesome, super sick. He has great ideologies and all that stuff. But if you really want to possibly reach, a goal, even if you're not going to hop on steroids and be like a super professional bodybuilder or anything, you finding a physique on somebody that is around the same height as you is going to be really good, because it's going to be a lot more likely, again, that you are able to attain that general shape. And you want to figure out on those people, what are their strong points? What are the things that you are drawn to about them that make them, your ideal body shape? Because you can look at any professional bodybuilder and be like, yeah, they're huge, but there's something about each specific one that gives them their shape that looks good to you. There's a million different men's classic physiques that look amazing, but is there a specific one that you really like, and why? What is it about them that when you look at them in their proportions, what is it that draws you to them? For example, for Mike Mentzer, he has that really wide, stocky look. Even though he has really big biceps and triceps, huge, and his shoulders are a little bit smaller. I don't have that naturally, but he has a really wide kind of build to him. He's got a really wide back, he's got well-developed legs and everything like that, and just overall has that more big, blocky look. I'll put a picture up on screen for you here of him, but that versus someone who's really, really long and tall, it's going to be much more likely that I reach that physique that's someone that's more closer to around my height. And if I want to reach this goal, you need to focus on that person's strong points. So for Mike Mentzer, his strong points is having pretty big arms. And personally, although my arms are pretty developed now, like my biceps and tricep genetics are poor. So it's going to be really unlikely that I ever reach the ability to have the exact same physique as him, because of the fact that A, I'm not on steroids, and B, I just don't have the same muscle growing capabilities. However, my shoulders, I have amazing shoulder growing genetics. I haven't even worked them out in the past year or two, and they're still pretty developed. And but you want to find your ideal body type physique, bodybuilder or fitness influencer or whatever, and identify their strong points so that you have a focus in the gym. If I know that when I look at myself in comparison to the person that I want to be, that's my goal, then I can look at what are the differences. Okay, his arms are definitely, they look a lot bigger in comparison to his body than mine do. My upper body looks a lot bigger and wider than my arms do. I need to get my arms a little bit bigger, and then that's what you prioritize in the gym. So what you want to do is look at the strong points of the bodybuilder or fitness influencer that you have a goal of. Take what their strong points are and then translate that into what your focus is in the gym. And you don't want to do too many things at once here. It's really easy to jump the gun and be like, oh, I just want to get just big like them. I found the person that I really want to be like. I want to look awesome just like them. Yeah, that's really, really good. But you need to channel that into as few streams as possible, because if you're really in this for the long term and really want to reach that, you're going to kind of burn yourself out or use up all your mental motivation and energy, putting it all at the beginning, and then just expecting to maintain that for the rest of your bodybuilding career. You need to focus on a few things at a time. For your upper body, you just want to focus on like two muscle groups, maybe 3 at a time that you're really focused on in your gym training. And then same with your lower body, maybe 2. But you don't want to be focused on just everything at once. You really want to focus your training on the specific body parts at a time. So if I'm like, okay, I really want to have this shape that Mike Mentzer has. He has a lot more developed biceps and triceps, and I feel like those are really lacking for me. What I need to do is surround my training, or create my training in a way that is going to allow me to get that growth and develop me and get me closer to that proportion, if that makes sense. So I would put bicep and tricep training with higher volume in my program, rather than putting a ton of shoulder workouts in my program, if that's something that already grows really fast for me, because then that would make me disproportionate. It would make me look less like this dream physique that I have. So you want to get the strong points of your bodybuilding goal or your fitness influencer dream physique. You want to get those strong points, translate them into what you grow in your own training, and then every time your training block ends, look at yourself, look at that person, their physique, and look at what you need to adjust in order to get closer to that physique. This is going to be really important, because you want to make sure that you're not only getting bigger, but that you're getting bigger in proportion to your dream physique, because it's easy to just be like, I want to get big all over my body. But if you have a dream physique, you'll never really kind of look like that if you just disproportionately grow everything, because your muscles grow at different speeds. And yeah, it's just easy to focus on just getting big in general. But if you really want a specific shape and specific physique, how people always want that Greek god physique, then you really need to target the muscles in that way. So number 1 was assessing your genetics, your height, bone structure, all that. Number 2 was finding a bodybuilder or fitness person that has your dream ideal physique, identify the strong points. Number 3 is going to be identify your own strong points, weak points, and what you have to work on muscle-wise to get to the similar physique. So I kind of already just explained most of that, so I don't really have to go too in detail about that. I've already beat a dead horse like a million times. But you do want to focus on what your genetic strong points are. Like I said, I have a really big genetic strong point for my shoulders, also my quads, and I just realized my back. So making sure that you are aligning how much volume you are putting towards your muscle groups is going to be important to focus on. I don't know how I started that sentence, but you want to focus on making sure that your training and volume for all the specific muscle groups are in alignment that will allow you to be closer to your dream physique. If I want to be like someone who has huge shoulders and, just slightly like less developed biceps and triceps, and it's going to be good for me to hit shoulders more. But if I want to dream physique like someone who has a lot more balance or even smaller shoulders than they do biceps and triceps, then I'm going to have to slow down on my shoulder training, because I don't want my shoulders to get disproportionately big, because then I'm not going to look like my dream physique as much. So you want to really just take into account what muscle groups grow faster for you, and just translate that into your training so that you make sure that you are getting closer to that physique, not further away from it. So number 4, I pretty much, again, already went into, didn't even realize, is going to be focus mainly on a few things at a time for each program, not everything at once. So again, it's going to be super easy to jump the gun when you get really excited and find someone that you really want to look like, whether that be just a freaking TikTok influencer or whatever. But you need to focus on a few things at a time. I cannot stress this enough. It's so easy to want to change things in your program all the time and have like the biggest program ever that'll just get you huge in all your muscle areas. But it's not going to be possible to grow everything in your body at once at the same speed all the time if you want to prioritize looking a specific way. If you just want to look whatever your natural body composition and muscle growth looks like and just train the exact same volume for all your exercises, by all means, go do that. But if you want a specific shape, you have to make sure that you are prioritizing certain areas. You can't prioritize every single muscle group at once, because it just doesn't really work like that. Like if you're prioritizing it, that means that you're putting it in front of everything else. You can't really do that with everything. That doesn't really make sense. So you want to prioritize the muscle group that you really want to shoot towards and just one program at a time. Like this, for example, my program right now, what I'm really focused on is upper back. So upper back, rhomboids, upper traps and traps, and I'm trying to think, and then mid chest. So I'm only doing bench and then one other, and bench press isn't even that great of an exercise for hypertrophy. I can talk about that in another video, but I'm doing bench press and then one other mid chest fly exercise. So mid chest, upper back for my upper body, as well as triceps, because my triceps were falling behind, because I really want to get more balanced physique in that way. And then for my lower body, I'm focusing most of my program on hamstrings and glutes, because I have naturally bigger quads, and because of that, it makes my hamstrings look small. My quads, I've always had really, really good quad genetics, but because of that, it makes my hamstrings look small in comparison. So to round out my physique, even though I just want to push my quads to the next level because they grow really fast, and it excites me to like have a muscle that grows really fast, if I don't prioritize the muscle that is lacking or falling behind right now, then I'm never gonna get, developed in that way later. I'm not going to look well rounded. So you got to be willing to take your time and not just jump the gun and try and train everything as hard as you can all at once. Train a few things at a time, because rather than slowly like developing your whole physique at once, it allows you to just focus on a few things at a time, and you can focus and really see the growth in those areas in your training. So that it's like, if I'm really focused on my shoulder and chest growth in my program, rather than my shoulders, my chest, my biceps, my triceps, my forearms, like having a focus on all those things. When you put that into your energy and a focus when you're actually going in the gym, it gives you just some kind of advantage, because it's like you have a focus on this one thing, and you can keep pushing and keep hammering it in, and you see those results better in those areas, because those are what you're focused on. If you're focused on the whole thing all the time rather than specific things at once, yeah, you're going to get bigger naturally, but when you have a focus on one specific thing, it allows you to put more energy towards one thing that gives you the ability to just have more input and output from that area. So that's just my opinion on it. Everybody sees things differently, and some people like to do things more well-rounded all the time, all year round. But I think focusing on a certain area at once allows you to figure out what your weak points are, what you can improve in, and then the next program you look at and assess your body. Okay, what do I need to work on now? So you want to do that, and then make your training according to that. And number 5, lastly, what I have for y'all is going to be always stay looking at their physique and assess what you can improve on to get that similar shape. So you want to do that, maybe not every single day, if you want to every single day, but you really want to do that at least every program, like constantly be looking at it, and then looking at yourself, looking at the pictures. Obviously, comparison can be the killer of, motivation, but if you really have a goal, it's going to be important for you to constantly be looking at that goal, because it gives you something to drive towards. And if you are constantly never looking at what your goal is, it's going to be easy to get sidetracked, distracted, and not really be, focused on your goal. And if you keep looking at that, it allows you to keep having the comparison. Okay, what can I tweak now? What can I make better now? This program, I look better in my triceps and biceps now, because before they looked a little small, but now they look more well developed. So now I can translate that into developing my shoulders, so my shoulders are bigger, since I haven't done that in a long time. You want to make sure that you are constantly looking at that physique every so often and comparing yourself to it, that way that you constantly know what to improve in. And that's going to be until you get that dream physique. And unless you have very, very, very similar genetics, height, bone structure, and everything, it's going to be extremely unlikely that you get the exact same proportion physique to them. So you have to work with what you are given. I am definitely gifted in my quads, like I said. So if my dream physique has really good hamstring genetics, but not that good, not amazing quad genetics, then, that's going to be something that I have to, kind of deal with and, work with. You're probably not going to have the exact same structure as somebody else. It's highly unlikely, unless you just so happen to have the same genetics, muscle growing wise, and, height, bone structure, all that stuff. But if you have a goal that is somewhat attainable, then it's going to be a lot more likely that you'll be able to reach it. But just know you're never probably going to be exactly like that person. So you have to be willing to, take some and give some, whatever the heck the saying is, so that you can reach your goal, but you're never going to be the same. And that's okay. That's good. Everybody's different, and that's what makes us unique, if that makes sense. But again, my goal physique is Mike Menser, and he has smaller shoulders in comparison to his biceps and triceps. I don't have really big arm genetics to where like my arms grow really fast. They really don't, unfortunately, as much as I wish they did, but that's okay. I have a lot faster growing shoulder genetics, and I can use that to my advantage and have bigger, more developed shoulders than I do biceps and triceps. I may not look exactly the same as my goal physique, but that's okay, because you're never going to look exactly like the person that you're shooting for, or it's highly unlikely that you will. But that should be it for this video. I apologize if it was pretty long, but hopefully that was good enough information for you, for things to focus on. It's not like you have any kind of super specific steps that you have to follow, but there are general principles that you need to make sure that you're paying attention to, so that A, your physique that you are shooting for is attainable and is realistic, and B, that you're actually going to possibly get there. And if you don't take any of those things into account, you're more likely to be a little bit more aimless, and less likely to actually go and continue shooting for these goals. But anyways, I hope y'all enjoyed. I hope you guys are having an amazing rest of your day, or I hope you do have an amazing rest of your day. Definitely be sure to leave a like, subscribe, follow my Instagram below. I actually just got a sponsorship from Raw Supplements, so I'm going to put my code down in the description below. Make sure to use that to get a 10% discount. But yeah, I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day. For the millionth time, I'll see y'all in the next one. Credentials, thunder and lightning.